Level 1. Deployment. You wake before the alarm because sleep has already left you. You fold your blanket like order can still protect you. You pack everything you own into a bag that suddenly feels small. You hold the letter but do not read it again. You hear your name and your body moves before you decide. You step outside and the air feels like a verdict. You stand in line with men pretending not to look afraid. You sign the paper without reading the words. You receive new orders and feel nothing arrive with them. You look at the map and see only distance. You board the truck because everyone else does. You sit shoulder to shoulder and learn the shape of silence. You watch the base disappear through a slit in the canvas. You pass houses where normal life continues without asking for you. You reach the airfield and the sky looks too wide. You wait beneath the aircraft and feel smaller than your orders. You watch men smoke like the fire can steady their hands. You hear someone laugh and it sounds borrowed. You touch the helmet because it is the only thing that feels real. You hear the engine start and your chest tightens without permission. You climb the ramp and leave the ground by inches. You take a seat facing men you may not know long. You fasten the strap and feel the machine claim you. You watch the ramp close and the world becomes metal. You feel the aircraft move and understand that waiting is over. You lift from the runway and leave certainty below. You look down and your home is already gone. You close your eyes, but the engine stays inside your skull. You open the orders again and the destination has not changed. You fly toward Vietnam and understand that the war has already begun inside you. Level 2. Arrival. You wake to heat before you know where you are. You look through the window and see green without end. You feel the aircraft drop and your stomach follows late. You hear wheels strike the runway and nobody cheers. You smell fuel, rain, and something rotting beneath both. You step down and the ground feels too warm through your boots. You breathe once and the air does not move. You follow the line because the line knows more than you do. You hear helicopters before you understand their direction. You pass wounded men moving the opposite way. You learn that arrival and evacuation use the same runway. You are handed a rifle before anyone says welcome. You feel the weapon's weight and understand it is not symbolic. You are told where to sleep and where not to walk. You hear rules that sound like ways to die slower. You walk through red mud that grabs at your boots. You pass sandbags stacked like walls against an invisible sea. You see the jungle beyond the wire and it does not look distant. You are shown your cot and it feels like borrowed ground. You place your bag down and nothing feels unpacked. You sit on the cot and hear rain begin again. You try to clean your boots and only move the mud around. You hear artillery far away and everyone keeps talking. You realize fear has a local accent here. You eat from a tray while rain drums on the roof like static. You hear your unit assignment and the name means nothing yet. You meet the men who will become your weather. You nod at names you know you may lose. You lie under the mosquito net and the jungle breathes outside. You understand that you have arrived, but nothing in you has landed. Level 3. The jungle. You wake before dawn because the jungle is already awake. You tighten your boots as if the mud has plans for you. You check your rifle because fear needs a ritual. You step outside and the base feels smaller than yesterday. You join the patrol and nobody explains the silence. You pass through the wire and the base closes behind you. You enter the trees and the sky disappears in pieces. You learn that every leaf can sound like a footstep. You step where the man ahead stepped and hope he was right. You stop touching branches after the first thorn draws blood. You sweat through wool and wonder how your body can still be cold. You hear water nearby but cannot see it. You cross the stream and the current pulls like a warning. You look into the water and do not recognize your reflection. You climb the bank and the jungle closes the stream behind you. You lose sight of the base and feel the map become useless. You hear a bird call and watch 3 men stop breathing. You raise your rifle at nothing and feel watched by everything. You lower the rifle only after the veterans lower theirs. You keep walking because stopping feels worse. You find a footprint that does not belong to your patrol. You look up and every shadow becomes a person. You are ordered down and the earth rises to meet your face. You hold your breath until your lungs begin to argue. You hear movement pass near you and never see its face. You wait for gunfire and receive only insects. You stand only when someone else decides the world is safe enough. You notice your hands shaking only after they stop. You look back and cannot tell where you came from. You keep moving deeper and understand that the jungle has accepted you only as prey. Level 4. First Contact. You walk behind the point man and count his steps without meaning to. You notice the jungle has gone quiet before anyone says it. You see the point man raise one hand and the world narrows to that hand. You kneel because everyone kneels. You stare at the leaves until they stop being leaves. You hear the first shot before you know it is a shot. You fall before deciding to take cover. You press your face into mud and discover it has a taste. You hear men shouting words that no longer behave like language. You fire where everyone fires because there is nowhere else to aim. You do not know if you hit anything, and that becomes worse than missing. You crawl behind a fallen tree and call it safety. You reload with fingers that no longer feel attached to you. You see a man fall and your mind refuses to name him. You hear someone scream for a medic and the word becomes a flare. You fire again because doing nothing feels louder. You see the enemy only as movement leaving the place you shot. You are told to move and your legs answer like strangers. You run bent low through a storm made of leaves and noise. You throw yourself behind roots and hear your own heartbeat over rifles. You watch the medic work with hands steadier than prayer. You are ordered to cover him, and suddenly your rifle has a purpose. You fire until the rifle clicks empty and the sound feels personal. You search your pouches and forget which hand is yours. You reload too slowly and the jungle does not wait. You hear the order to pull back and it sounds like mercy. You run back through ground that no longer looks familiar. You stumble, rise, and leave part of yourself in the mud. You reach the perimeter and realize safety has wire teeth. You sit in the mud and understand the war has finally spoken to you. Level 5. War Routine. You wake to rain and do not remember when it started. You clean your rifle before your hands are fully awake. You eat fast because food has become another order. You step into mud that already knows your weight. You stand watch and let your eyes become machinery. You smoke when someone offers because refusal takes energy. You laugh once and it sounds like something dropped. You write a letter and remove every true sentence. You seal the envelope like it can hold back the jungle. You carry crates because the war also needs inventory. You hear distant gunfire and nobody looks up. You learn which explosions are close enough to matter. You wash your face and the water comes away brown. You check your feet because everyone checks their feet. You mark another day and the number gives nothing back. You patrol the same road until fear learns the route. You stop flinching at every sound and start hating that you stopped. You pass a village and keep your eyes where you were told to keep them. You learn suspicion can be carried without raising the rifle. You return before dusk and count fewer jokes than boots. You scrape mud from your boots and leave the rest on your soul. You sleep in pieces and call each piece rest. You wake to flares and know not to ask why. You stand in the dark until the alarm becomes another weather pattern. You return to your cot after nothing happens and feel punished by nothing. You stop asking which day it is and start asking whose turn it is. You carry water, ammunition, letters, and silence in the same hands. You watch new men arrive and recognize the distance in their faces. You understand you have become part of the scenery that once frightened you. You end the day alive and feel no victory in it. Level 6. Loss. You wake and notice the cot beside yours is empty. You wait for someone to explain it and nobody does. You find his cup still hanging from the cot frame. You do not touch it because touching makes it true. You carry his gear to the supply tent with both hands full and your mouth empty. You place his things on a table and watch them become inventory. You hear his name read aloud and it sounds smaller than him. You look at the empty space in the line and learn its shape. You return to the mess tent and his seat is still there. You sit somewhere else because memory has weight. You hear a joke he would have answered and nobody finishes it. You go on patrol and the rear of the line feels longer. You hear every branch break as if it could take another name. You find blood on a leaf and no body near it. You understand that the jungle keeps things you never get to bury. You carry a wounded man and feel how light a person can become. You count his breaths because counting is all you can do. You lose count when the helicopter arrives. You hand him to strangers and hope strangers are enough. You watch the helicopter rise and take the answer with it. You return carrying only the stretcher straps. You stop beside a boot print filling with rain and think of a grave. You reach the base and feel guilty for arriving whole. You sit through mail call and hope your name is skipped. You fold the letter carefully because the paper has done nothing wrong. You place it in your pocket and feel it burn without heat. You stand at the perimeter and wonder how many names the jungle knows. You hear laughter from the tents and feel farther from it than the jungle. You understand that loss does not leave the war, it stays and learns your routine. Level 7. Breakdown. You wake tired enough to doubt you ever slept. You put on your helmet and feel nothing become heavier. You forget whether you cleaned your rifle and clean it again. You eat because your body reports hunger after your mind has stopped caring. You hear your name called and stand before you, understand why. You join another patrol and feel like a borrowed object. You enter the jungle and the trees look copied from yesterday. You hear the dead man's voice in a branch snapping. You blink and the trail moves without you. You hurry to catch up and feel your heart arrive late. You smile at a question and realize you did not hear it. You drink from your canteen and taste metal, mud, and sleep. You sit in the jungle and forget what quiet used to mean. You see movement that is only rain and still raise your rifle. You lower the rifle and feel ashamed of being alive enough to panic. You walk until your feet become distant reports from below. You return to base and cannot remember crossing the wire. You sit through debriefing and watch words leave men's mouths as smoke. You are told you did fine and the sentence lands nowhere. You walk to the wash basin and forget why you came there. You see your reflection move after you stop moving. You splash water on your face and come back only halfway. You sit alone under a tarp while the camp moves around you. You hear someone say your name and cannot prove it happened. You lie down before night and the ceiling begins to patrol you. You close your eyes and see the trail keep going. You open your eyes because the dark has started making sound. You stand outside in the rain because the tent has become too crowded with ghosts. You look at your hands and wait for them to explain what they have done. You understand that breaking does not sound like breaking. It sounds like another morning coming. Level 8. Doubt. You wake before orders and wonder who decided this place needed you. You look at the map and see lines pretending to understand the land. You hear the objective and cannot find it inside yourself. You pass the gate and feel less like a soldier than a question walking. You walk past rice fields and wonder who will stand there after you leave. You see a child watching you and cannot tell which one of you is afraid. You search a hut and feel every object accuse your hands. You find nothing and still leave the room changed. You watch an old woman rebuild silence after you break it. You realize obedience can leave fingerprints. You are told to move on, and the question moves with you. You enter the jungle again and wonder if it knows the difference between sides. You pass a burned clearing and smell decisions older than you. You step over ash and understand that victory can look like absence. You find a broken toy in the mud and do not know where to put your eyes. You leave the toy there because taking it would not repair anything. You hear men discuss progress and watch smoke erase the trail behind you. You aim at a shadow and wonder if fear is choosing targets for you. You lower the rifle and feel more afraid than when it was raised. You return to base with no shots fired and still feel less clean. You scrub ash from your boots until the water turns black. You cannot scrub the smell from your hands. You listen to the officers call it necessary and feel the word rot in the air. You write home and cannot make the truth small enough to fit. You cross out one sentence and leave the page almost empty. You fold the unfinished letter and decide silence is less dishonest. You stand near the perimeter and listen to the jungle answer nothing. You ask yourself why you are here and hear only generators. You look at your rifle and wonder whether it protects you or explains you. You understand doubt is not weakness. It is the part of you still alive. Level 9. The last mission. You hear the mission before dawn and no sleep is finished with you. You dress slowly because speed will not change the place you are going. You fold the unfinished letter and leave it where someone might find you. You step outside and the camp looks like it is holding its breath. You see the others waiting and know everyone has already said goodbye privately. You listen to the route and recognize every danger before it is named. You pass through the gate and do not look back this time. You walk the road and feel the morning refuse to become day. You cross the rice fields and every reflection looks like sky trying to escape. You pass the village and nobody comes outside anymore. You enter the jungle where the trail becomes a throat. You recognize the stream and hate it for remembering you. You cross slower than before because memory has learned the current. You climb the bank and feel the jungle lean closer. You find the old burned clearing and see new green growing through it. You step where the toy used to be and find only mud. You hear the first distant crack and everyone freezes in a line of statues. You know the silence after the shot is not empty. You see movement in 3 places and understand you are already surrounded. You hear the ambush open and the clearing becomes noise. You fire into the trees and feel history repeat without learning. You hear someone call for retreat and another voice call for help. You move toward the wounded man before courage can take credit. You grab his straps and feel the world pull against you. You drag him past the place where the toy was gone. You feel something strike your side and mistake it for another branch. You keep pulling because stopping would require understanding. You reach cover and realize the ground is moving away from you. You look up through the leaves and see the sky in small broken pieces. You hear your name from far away and cannot decide whether to follow it. Level 10. After you wake beneath canvas that is not your tent. You hear rotors fading and understand you were carried. You try to sit up and learn. Your body has filed a complaint. You are told you are lucky and do not recognize the word. You ask about the man you dragged and the pause answers first. You receive no clear answer and understand clarity was never part of the war. You sleep under medicine and dream in rotor wash. You wake to clean sheets and miss the mud for one terrible second. You are moved farther from the jungle and feel it come with you. You look through a window and see rain without cover. You hear laughter in the ward and wait for it to become shouting. You touch the bandage and find the wound easier to locate than the rest of yourself. You are given your helmet and it feels like a relic from another dead man. You hold the helmet in your lap and do not put it on. You read the unfinished letter and meet the person you were before the clearing. You fold the letter again because some things cannot be finished. You are told you will leave the field hospital and feel no direction in leaving. You walk past new wounded men and see your own face arriving late. You board the transport with men who survived different versions of the same place. You sit by the window and watch Vietnam become weather below you. You leave the country and do not feel distance begin. You return to a clean station and the floor feels too hard. You hear ordinary footsteps and your body measures them as threats. You You sit alone while people pass through peace like it is a hallway. You close your eyes and the station becomes a jungle again. You open your eyes and nothing has changed enough. You step outside and the rain feels civilian. You walk through streets where nobody knows which parts of you stayed behind. You stop before a puddle and see the jungle looking back. You keep walking, not away from the war, but with it quieter inside you.